What's up guys, the Strong Boys 19 here. This is going to be my latest update video for the end of this month of February, and I am very looking forward to talk about these piles of records and CDs that I bought for myself, just to display them for you guys. So let's not waste any time, let's dive right into it. So the first two records are from one of my favourite bands of all time, Strapping Young Lad. This is the limited edition red coloured vinyl of Alien, and it has a gatefold sleeve with the band and the lyrics on the inside. And just like what I've ordered of City, this is a 2021 remaster from Listenable Records, and this is an amazing album. This is my second favourite Strapping Young Lad album. This contains the full extended version of Love, which I prefer massively over the single version, and it also has Zodiac. This is, to me, their second best album. And the other one is The New Black. This is the same type of remaster from Listenable Records of last year, and this is my third favourite Strapping album. The production is at one of their top best. I got to love more of the tracks on this album. Very underrated. This is on white coloured vinyl. Despite the sound where it got so staticky and a lot of surface noise, I was really happy still to have this record. Does come with a separate sleeve, the lyrics on one side and the other with Devin and the Company at the back. I like that different colour change from orange to blue, but this is to me a really good, strong, awesome album to finalise Strapping Young Lad. This also contains the tracks of The Long Pig and Centre. So there you go, that's Strapping Young Lad. The next album is Mastodons Once More Around the Sun. I know I do have the double picture disc edition of this album, but I wanted to buy this because of, for me personally, being more of the fan of the standard black coloured vinyl. This is a double album pressing as well, very underrated. This is one of my favourite Mastodon albums that I think deserves a lot more of the credit, and I will come back to review Mastodon's discography at some point, guys. I may have one planned, but you'll have to wait until my video on Mastodon's best album, in my opinion. So there you go. Once More Around the Sun. The next album, this is from one of my favourite top 5 German bands of all time, Can. This is the self-titled album. Hasn't been unwrapped yet, but this is from Spoon Records from 2013. And I really like this album. It's often overlooked, but I think it has grown to be one of my favourites from one of my all-time favourite bands. Next record, MC5, Kick Out the Jams. This is a brilliant remaster from Elektra Records, and this album is a monster. It is very raw, amp gained, loud live recording of, to me, one of their best sounds of performances and music. So most MC5 fans will just say, you need to just Kick Out the Jams. I know they've done another record, but this is the one. MC5, Kick Out the Jams. Check it out if you haven't already. The next record is from 2015, a remaster, and it is a debut classic, one of my top debuts of all time. Rage Against the Machine's self-titled. And I had to pick this up because this was just, to me, one of those records I used to play over and over and over. It's iconic, it's a classic for a reason, very relevant to this day, and, you know, what could you really address more about this record, to be honest? So there you go, Rage Against the Machine's debut. The next record, this is from possibly, to me, my favourite female debut solo album of all time. A beautiful woman as well, who's one of my favourites, mostly very popular for being in Fleetwood Mac, Stevie Nicks with Belladonna. I absolutely love this record. I had to pick this up because I wanted to revisit, to me, one of the greatest debuts of all time. This is from Modern Records from 2016. Yeah. Besides Edge of 17, there are so many amazing songs on this. The title track, Belladonna, is gorgeous. Kind of woman, stop dragging my heart around. And, you know, every other song on this record is just amazing. So that's Belladonna. The Prodigy, Music for the Jilted Generation. This is my favourite Prodigy album of all time. I had to pick this up. And I know there's The Fat of the Land, which many fans say that's their best album, but this is the one for me, as to me their best. Classic album. The next album is from a band that I have heard numerous people talk about, and they are very popular in the 90s scene as well. The Pixies. Now this is their album Trompe le Monde. Might have butchered that, but from what I've heard about this band, I am really interested to discover this band quite a lot more now. So this is the first Pixies album that I have bought on vinyl at the moment. Next album, King Kendrick Lamar with Good Kid, Mad City. I wanted to pick this up because, you know, some fans say this is his best album, besides the very iconic To Pimp a Butterfly. I love that album, and Untitled Unmastered. So, in honour of my anticipation for his new album, hopefully that will be coming out this year, I just thought, why not get Good Kid, Mad City on vinyl? Now, the next few records are new releases from this year. This first one is from a concert experience, and I just want to say thank you to two mates of mine who are in a band called Harriet. They have been going on tour for some time, and they've supported a very popular big band at this point, and another band did support them when I went to see them, Pupil Slicer. And thank you so much to Julian and Jake from Harriet to invite me over as their guest to see the whole show, and it was amazing. They've supported Rollo Tomasi. This is the new album, Where Myth Becomes Memory. I had to pick this album up right at the end of their show because, wow, what an amazing band they were live. This is an album released through E1 Music. This has grown to be one of my top 5 albums of the year, and I should have reviewed this album when it came out. I wanted to check out this band just because of seeing this band live. I had heard nothing about this band until I did see them live. Wonderful musicianship and amazing female vocals as well. Great, great album. It's powerful, it's emotional, and it is, to me, one of the best for musicianship as well. It has grown to become one of my favourites of the year so far. By the way, this is on limited edition gold coloured vinyl. So there you go. Where Myth Becomes Memory from Rollo Tomasi. The next album, I can't believe this was only 20 quid at HMV. When I spotted it, I immediately just went, yep, that's mine. Into the basket. My favourite album of the year so far, Venom Prison's Erebos. If you want to see my review on this album, do check it out, as well as my reaction to this band for the first time, because this band with this record is so dedicated, so inspired, and it is relevant with the lyrics, and the musicianship is adventurous. It's out of this world. Just one of the best ever albums released through Century Media Records. Check this band out if you haven't, as I've become a fan after this record for close to a month now. The next album, well, these two I should say, these two are from one of my favourite bands of all time, into the Japanese scene. This is Boris. This is the first and only album that I've bought through Bandcamp. This is their new album, W, Sacred Bones edition, limited edition baby blue and white starburst. I know some fans will say this is either a very good album or not one of their best, but I really like a lot of this album, and it has been one of my favourites. Does come with a booklet with the pictures and lyrics inside, and I really like this album a lot. And the previous album, No, which I actually did buy to revisit this album because this was one of my favourite albums of 2020. I still think this is a bit of a stronger album than their new album. But having said that, you need to check out Boris if you haven't already. If you are into a variety of multiplying records in different genres. Now, for those who have attended my recent live stream, well, a few days ago, I've mentioned a band that I did buy a lot of albums from these guys. I may have mentioned them once, but the band that I've bought most records of throughout this month is Napalm Death. And this is an original pressing of my favourite Napalm album of all time, From Enslavement to Obliteration. This is an original pressing on Earache Records with Mosh 8 credited, and despite the sounds of snap, crackles and pops, it played very, very well. I was very worried, actually, to play this because of some records with original pressings that they are not like in the best shapes and sounds of the quality, but this one very luckily did. I adore this album cover, one of my favourites of all time. It is my favourite Napalm album for a lot of reasons, and funnily enough, this is Shane Embury's favourite out of all of the albums he has done with the band. This also obviously features Bill Steer, who would later on become the amazing guitar player for Carcass, and also Lee Dorian, who would later on form one of the other very popular metal bands, Cathedral. So there you go, From Enslavement to Obliteration. So happy to have this on vinyl. The other ones are remasters. This album, next one, is through the record label of, I think it's Secret. Yeah, Secret Records. This is a remaster of, now to me, another classic album in their discography, Enemy of the Music Business. This is a limited pressing red coloured vinyl, and it sounded absolutely awesome. Really strong album. This could possibly be, for me, the last classic Napalm album. So much ballistic, aggressive, and just some manic stuff. And also one of my favourite produced Napalm records as well. Enemy of the Music Business is another gem. This is, to me, their best album since From Enslavement to Obliteration. That's how much I love this album. So, there you go. Enemy of the Music Business. The next one, this is a remaster from 2021. And this was my first ever intro to Napalm through the four-piece era, Utilitarian. I still think this is a very strong album. This is one of my top 10. One of my top 10 Napalm albums. Love the album cover. The worst annoying thing is just a ton of the surface noise, and it totally ruined the fullest sound of this fucking awesome album. That pissed me off. But I do have the CD of this. I did buy this when it came out. But anyways, that is Utilitarian through Century Media Records. Yep. Next one. Now, this is another one that has been beloved for a lot of fans. Time Waits for No Slave. I'll have to say, this album is very good, but I don't think this is one of their best albums. It's very good, but I just think there are other Napalm albums that I would personally prefer over this one. But, needless to say, the production is great, and some incredibly strong vocals and musicianship on this record. It's quite varied as well. I really like this album. I do get the hype about this album that most Napalm fans say that this is maybe the best album in the later point of their discography. I don't agree with that, but this is very good, as I've just said. So, Time Waits for No Slave. And the last one from the Napalm pile is The Code is Red, Long Live the Code. This is a Back on Black pressing from 2019. And I think this is very good. I maybe could prefer this album than the one I've just shown. This is on a clear cut vinyl. Very nice. And I really do think that the later period of Napalm, with records like this, is where it's one of the best peaks and eras in their whole discography. And I know that the original colour to this album is like brighter. Obviously, this is like just on white and black, but very, very good record. And the last record for this update, this was the first record that I did buy on Discogs from this month. Gojira with Terra Incognita. This is one of my favourites from the band. One of my top 3, actually. Picture of the band there and the lyrics. This is a limited edition grey coloured vinyl. Despite, again, the annoyance of surface noise all over, the music on this album, to me, is at one of Gojira's best. I remember hearing nostalgia from tracks on the Link Alive versions of Lizard Skin, and Love has been one of the very first Gojira tracks I've ever heard before I really got to know and love the band. So anyways, love this record. This is from 2016. Yeah, 2016 through Listenable Records. Now, on to the CDs. I'll whiz through these. Korn with The Nothing. I did pick this up because I think that The Nothing is one of the band's best albums in ages. And you can't really see it, but the cover's like an embossed type of look, which is very cool. I think that The Nothing is one of their best. And, you know, it's not very, very strong, but I will review this album when I will have the chance to review it, and the rest of Korn's discography. The next album, again from Korn, Requiem. Now you may be thinking, Strong Boys, why did you buy this? Well, I just decided to buy it because of the nostalgia that I used to be a Korn collector. And unfortunately, the more I thought about it on my own, about this record, weeks after my review of this album, the weaker it did get. And I think that this is a very disappointing, average album in their discography. And also, the packaging for this album is very weak. It's not as good as others like The Nothing and other Korn releases. Requiem did have moments, but I had to pick it up because they are one of my favourite bands of all time. So, there you go. Next two are from a band that I obviously did hear a lot of times, and I just think, well, fuck it. If many people love this band, I'll have to dive in. Soundgarden. This is the album Bad Motorfinger, and I love their track of Rusty Cage. Cash's cover of the track is phenomenal as well. Still sealed at the moment. But I am so looking forward to check out this album. And the very infamous album Super Unknown, Black Hole Sun, and the music video to this track. One of the creepiest that I've ever seen, especially when I was getting into music. But yeah, there you go. Soundgarden with Super Unknown. Next album, Stevie Wonder with Music of My Mind. I do love Stevie Wonder, as some of you guys know, one of my favourites and one of the legends of popular music as well. Do check out some Stevie Wonder, I'd say before the classic peak with records like Talking Book, Inner Visions, etc., because there are some amazing stuff. Next album, Immolation with Atonement. I did buy this album actually a week or 2 weeks before the new album did eventually come out. I think this is a very good album, but I don't see this as one of the top best albums in their discography. It does have amazing production though, really, really good material. Excuse me. It did have moments where I think some of the riffs are really good and still massive, but I think that earlier albums are like the better sounds of albums that I prefer over this one, but I still really liked this one. Excuse me. The next two are from Canadian prog metal legends Rush. Signals. This is in part of the Rush remasters. Oh, you may see a reflection because I've been watching some streamers on Twitch. But I have actually not heard of this album yet. And I did hear other later stuff like Grace Under Pressure, which is very good. But I am pretty much anticipated to hear this album. And the classic album, Moving Pictures. It's not just about Tom Sawyer, for God's sakes. But there's other tracks like The Camera Eye and YYZ, Witch Hunt. Again, on the Rush remasters. So absolutely still love this record. This is Rush at one of their top best. Some Napalm once again, and I decided to buy Enemy of the Music Business, which also comes with the Leaders Not Followers EP as bonus tracks from Secret Records from 2013. The other one is Utopia Banished, which is one of my favourite Napalm albums. And I think that I may prefer this album over Harmony Corruption. But to be honest with you, Napalm with the earlier albums and even on the later stuff, a lot of them are just very strong to me. Love the album cover as well. And one of my top 5 favourites from Napalm, Smear Campaign. This has got to be one of the absolute best in their production. And this is one of those albums that I have been growing to love more and more. Such a strong album. One of their best. Next album, The Smashing Pumpkins, Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness. This is the 2 CD release of this iconic classic album. I do love Smashing Pumpkins. Oh, and also another Napalm album, Throes of Joy in the Jaws of Defeatism. This was my second favourite album of 2020, and I think this is another really great album, one of their best. Beastie Boys with the album Ill Communication. I have a bit of fond memories with some of the stuff of this album, and I do love this. Not my favourite of the Beastie Boys. My favourite being License to Ill or Paul's Boutique, but this is one of the top 3. Canal Decapitation with Death Atlas. All I say about this band is Travis motherfucking Ryan. One of the best and monstrous sounds of vocalists. Really great band. This is the first Cattle album that I did purchase because I know some tracks off of this album and it sounded incredible, so I had to pick this up. So there you go, Canal Decapitation. And this is from a hip-hop duo that I really wanted to check out. That is Run the Jewels. I know a lot of people have been raving about this particular group in terms of more of the famed hip-hop scene. So this is sealed in this type of packaging. But I really want to discover Run the Jewels. Neil Young with the album American Stars and Bars. This is a very underrated record, and obviously the highlight for me is Like a Hurricane, which I absolutely adore. I love that track. But then there's Bite the Bullet, Hold Back the Tears, Homegrown. This is one of the overlooked albums that I think that you should check out. This is the previous album to Comes a Time, which comes out after this, that I absolutely love that album. Being a big fan of Neil Young, so I had to pick this one up. This is the album Diamond Life from Sadie, and I really, really want to discover more female artists, and Diamond Life has been known as one of the classic albums in that type of era. Rosalie Cunningham with her debut album. Love the album cover, and I want to review her new album very soon when it comes out. Venom Prison with the album Primeval. Does come with the lyrics, digipack type of edition, because I want to check out earlier Venom Prison before playing Erebus many more times. So there you go, Erebus digipack edition, which is very, very cool. Faith No More with Soul Invictus. The last, well, I would say maybe not the last, or maybe the last, Faith No More album with the classic lineup featuring Mike Patton, and I hope he gets well soon from his mental health issues. Amon Amarth with Odin on Our Side. I love this album. This is my second favourite from one of my favourite bands in the genre. Rollo Tomasi with Where Myth Becomes Memory. I've already explained my words about this album. Absolutely great stuff. Mr. Bungle with The Night They Came Home. This is a digipack that contains both the CD and DVD of their recorded concerts. The Very Best of the Stone Roses. I'm not a fan of a lot of compilations, but I had to pick this one up because this has a wonderful selection of their classic singles. 2 albums from the Pixies. Bossa Nova, which is very, very good, and the iconic album Doolittle. And the last CD is Dig Your Own Hole from the Chemical Brothers. And I really like a lot of this album. Many people say this is their classic album, but I'm at a bit of a tie at the moment to maybe pick this one or Surrender as their best so far, because I've been diving into the Chemical Brothers quite a lot. And with that being said, there you go. That's my update video for the end of this month. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, I will keep you guys posted for more videos in the near future.